welcome back to the Citizen channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. And another one of our City number 9s. Yes, City number 9s. We had some great number 9s during our long history, of course we have. And we've still got more to come. We still have them at the moment. And of course, this feature takes a look at some of the very best, some not quite the best, and everything in between, including even the odd record breaker. Well, this guy we're looking at today, has he broke any records? Probably there was an old record. I don't know if it still stands, actually. It's probably been broken now, but he did break a record in his very first debut for City. So it could also be classed as dream debuts, this one, couldn't it? But we'll do it under City number 9s anyway. And today we're going to have a look at David Cross. Yes, David Cross, guys of a certain age, I'll remember. Good old-fashioned centre-half who could score with his head and score with various parts of his body like every good centre-forward could. Did I say centre-half before? I might have. Centre-forward, you know what I mean anyway. Number 9s. Please, if you are new to the channel, push that subscribe button. Push the bell notification. All these vlogs are coming out. Do everything City, past, present and forever, of course. Well, as long as I'm here anyway, as long as I'm doing it, that's forever as far as I'm concerned. But City will still be here, of course, when most of us won't be here. But let's not get all morbid, right? City, past, present and forever, of course. So please push that bell notification, push that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, pass the word, guys, it'd be great. And give us a thumbs up or a like. Make an old City fan very happy. So yes, David Cross, he will spend only one season at City, not quite a full season either. He left about 6 or 7 games before the end. And it would turn out, I mean, there's clues on the wall behind me, it would turn out to be one of our most disappointing seasons. Probably brought a tear to a glass eye, certainly in my early supporting City years. Early, I was 20 odd then when this happened, but brought a tear to the eye, that's for sure. One of the most disappointing days in my early days. There were more to come disappointments, of course. But yeah, not the greatest. It's up on the wall, the clues there. Of course, we're talking the 82-83 season. Yeah, but there's no real hint of what was to come that season. In fairness, it wasn't as though we were struggling the season before. Of course, John Bond was still in charge. We'd actually got David Cross for £135,000. That fee was actually decided by an independent tribunal, which we used to do a lot of at the time, and we couldn't agree a fee between teams. Seems a good way of doing it, obviously, in this day and age. He was an FA Cup winner, of course. He lost in a couple of League Cup finals, I think, but for West Ham, he won the FA Cup with West Ham and scored 166 goals in just under 450 games, about 449 games. So that wasn't bad, was it? That was pretty good. He'd also featured his early career for Rochdale. He was actually born in Haywood, which, if you don't know Haywood, or it's in Lancashire, if you don't know up there, not far from Bury, about 3.5-4 miles from Bury. And also played for Coventry and West Brom as well before, obviously, West Ham, where I think he spent 5 seasons. He'd actually been offered a new contract by West Ham as well. I think it'd been improved and offered a contract, but obviously just wanted to return home to the north, which is a bit strange, where he ended up after City for briefly. But yes, he wanted to come back up north rather than being down south. So say he was 30. I think he celebrated his 32nd birthday while he was at City. So yeah, so for a centre forward in those days, wasn't old, but he's sort of past your peak at that stage in a similar way perhaps you are now. I don't know, 31, 32. Some players start to struggle with injuries, don't they? He had big shoes to fill, of course. Trevor Francis had just gone. Obviously, he must have found the lure of Italy, the lure of Italy and Sampdoria too good to miss. Well, that and really City couldn't afford his wages, his injury problems, and of course 700,000 from Sampdoria sort of came in handy as well. So we'll brush over that one. But yeah, Cross rose to the challenge, and he did make the best possible start. His debut for City against one of his old clubs. One of his old clubs was Norwich City. Yeah, at Carrow Road on the 28th of August 1982. Yeah, he did all right in that one. I mean, that actually averaged a goal every 4 games for Norwich, so it's obviously not as good as his West Ham form. But he and Paul Power were the scorers in a 2-1 win on the opening day of the season. And his goal was the quickest in the league. Obviously, he scored after 3 minutes. So that was the quickest goal in the league that day of the new season. And for a long time, it was City's quickest goal from a City player as well. As I said, that was a record then at the time. It's probably gone now. I've not had a chance to sort of look at that. But that obviously in the 80s, that was the quickest City had ever scored a goal in the first game of a new league season. He would actually he'd follow this up with, of course, a home game then at Main Road, the Main Road faithful, a game against Stoke, and he'd follow that up with another goal. So obviously a goal for us, at the fans at Main Road as well, a 1-0 win. And this was just 30 seconds into the second half. It wasn't into the first half, but again, he was getting a little bit of knack of catching perhaps the defence a little bit cold. So that's all well and good. A groin injury. He had a few little niggly injuries was at City. He started there's at least a handful of games he started and went off quite early. So he got a little, as I said, 32 centre forward. He was getting 1 or 2 knocks. And he got a groin injury in City's 4th game away at Notts County, which kept him out for the next 3 games. And he actually missed. It was actually missed because City lost 3 out of the next 4, including a trip to his old employers, of course, at Upton Park to meet them. So he missed that as well. But on his return to match action against Coventry, he was on the score sheet again, in a 3-2 win at Main Road. And of course, the problem was, even though he was doing okay, City were actually slowly dropping down the league. And we'd actually gone up to 3rd place, 2nd place. I think we were top for a day or two at one stage as well. But we started to drop slowly down the league. But Cross himself would score in the next 3 games, against Everton and Sunderland in a 2-2 draw against United. But as John Bond pointed out, this wasn't going to last. Towards the end of November, he did point out that all strikers go through lean periods. And after the derby, he would go 9 games without a goal, which isn't great. He scored 6 in his first 9 appearances, and he went 9 games without a goal after that 2-2 draw with United. But it wasn't for the want of trying. He wasn't being helped, of course, by his strike partner at the time, which was a certain Kevin Reeves, who was having similar problems as well. And manager Bond was actually spending extra time in training, working with both guys to try and improve things. But the cracks were beginning to show in Bond's plans for the 2 strikers. Away at Luton on December the 11th, he would get back on the score sheet again after that dry period, but it was in a 3-1 loss against relegation, threatened Luton Town and the Hatters, of course, who would come back to haunt us, as we know. And he was also scored against tabletop in Liverpool the game after as well at Anfield on the 27th of December, but sadly we lost that one 5-2, so it was more or less a consolation attempt. But as we know, John Bond was a hard taskmaster, and he often shared his feelings about his players to the various media outlets. He didn't sort of hold back. John Bond, he was quite tough on his guys and honest to say to other people. He didn't keep it in house, that's for sure. And his last City Matchday programme of the year, which was against West Brom on the 28th of December 1982, he had a little piece called "Looking Back on 1982" by John Bond. I've got the programme here. And just read a little excerpt from it near the end. And he was talking about major disappointments. And he actually said, "My greatest dismay about the first part of the season has been the form of our new strikers, David Cross and Kevin Reeves. They have not operated as well as I believed they would. I thought my purchase of David from West Ham was going to be the ideal was going to be an ideal foil for Kevin's talents, and they would then produce a very productive partnership by complementing each other so well. It has not yet happened. I did think that David's style would enable to repeat a very successful formula that I had employed at Norwich, similar to the way in which Ted McDougall had thrived alongside Phil Boyer. Well, perhaps a new year may see a change of fortune, and David and Kevin will have got their blend and understanding along the lines I had hoped." So obvious thoughts that he wasn't very happy, and as I say, John Bond didn't mess about. There's a couple of other players he mentioned in this, but not in the same derogatory way. So that couldn't have gone down well. But as a player, what do you think? You know, obviously what you say, you know, in the dressing room or in private, but you're obviously putting it on the line to the fans. It's telling the fans that it's not been overly happy with it. So very blunt and to the point. Not great for a manager, but say, John, I think we used to call it, a spade, didn't it? Call a spade a spade. But apart from missing the odd game through injury, Bond persisted. Of course, he didn't have much options with the Reeves and Cross partnership. And Cross got his first and only cup goal for City, in the third round replay at Main Road against Sunderland, a 2-1 win with drawn 0-0 at Roker Park. And he enjoyed himself even more against another of his old employers again. Obviously, he'd scored that early goal against Norwich. But at home against Norwich, he scored 2 in a 5-2 win on the 15th of January. And that was reckoned by most to be certainly his best game since that opening game at Carrow Road. And obviously, I think he was City's star man on the day, according to the matchday programme as well. So was his manager impressed? Well, I don't know. We didn't get much chance to see, did we? Because 2 weeks later, he'd gone. John Bond had resigned as manager. And, of course, his assistant, the guy he brought with him at the time, John Benson, would step into his spot. And I think Tony Buck was helping out alongside as well. There'll be an image up there on the screen of them both in the dugout. Now it would be, obviously, David Cross would have to play for a new manager who had a slightly different idea on things than John Bond. I mean, at the time of his resignation, City looked okay. We were comfortable there. There's 22 teams in the league, and City was sat in 10th spot when John Bond resigned. So there's no big deal. There's no panic. It's probably why Benson was given the job. And he was certainly get off to a good start, Davy Cross. He scored in a 2-2 draw with Tottenham on the 5th of February at Main Road. But sadly, a Benson-led City will begin to struggle and would lose 7 and draw 2 of Benson's first 9 games in charge. Davy Cross himself missed a couple of these because he had a bad bout of flu. When he reported back to train, he'd actually lost 10 pounds in weight. It'd been that bad. But he'd failed to get on the score sheet, say, in those 9 games. He missed a couple, but he didn't get on the score sheet in the other 7. But City finally, yes, Benson had a victory. City had a victory on April the 2nd away at West Bromwich Albion. And yes, it was the misfiring duo, of course, of Reeves and Cross, who would actually be on the score sheet for both goals. And that probably would have pleased Bond, although he's up to other things at that time. But this would be David Cross's final goal for City, because just a week later away at Stoke, a 1-0 defeat where City had played quite well, but we just didn't take our chances. That would be his last game for City. And we would actually finish that game 17th in the table. So not quite down in the relegation zone, but only a couple of places above it. So that was it. Cross had made a total of 38 appearances. He hadn't made any sub-appearances, but he had been taken off, as I said, in a handful of those games with injuries. And he scored 13 goals, so 1 every 3, basically, 1 every 3 games. And he was City's highest scorer for the season. But City themselves had the second lowest goals tally that season, goals for tally in the division. So, as I say, by the time the infamous final game against Luton Town came round, we were relegated on the last day of the season, of course. But by that time, Cross had gone. He'd been gone a month. He'd said he'd missed last 6 or 7 games, and he was playing for Vancouver Whitecaps. There you go. That's better. If he wants to go, he wants to come home to the north. He sods off to America, but he only did it short of. Obviously, he then came back to Oldham again, and then went back to Vancouver again. So obviously, it was a seasonal thing anyway. Of course, he was playing for Vancouver Whitecaps in the North American Soccer League by then. Well, there you go, David Cross. Not the longest stay at number 9, but he played at number 9 for every game. We have a lot of number 9s who do switch and change occasionally, but certainly not David Cross. And he started very well, but it's always going to be hard to step into Trevor Francis's boots, of course, after he left the club. And add to this the fact that his strike partner Reeves was also struggling for form a lot of the time. And David Cross, as I said, turned 32 around Christmas time when he joined us. And perhaps West Ham had seen the best of David Cross, and to actually start and adapt to a totally new team, a new manager, a new way of playing was perhaps a little bit too hard for him. And I think he definitely had his best years at West Ham. And let's face it, he joined a City team, but where perhaps John Bond, if he'd stayed, we probably wouldn't have been a problem. We probably wouldn't have been ended up dumped out of it by Luton. It was the change in management as well that totally rocked the team. Say we were mid-table, we were in 10th position when John Bond resigned. There's not a cat in hell's chance anyone thought City were going to get relegated that season. I'm fairly sure, although we may have toddled along, we probably would have finished mid-table again. But Mr. John Benson, of course, just wasn't up to the task. And of course, David Cross, as soon as the change came in, I think he accepted himself with the stick he was getting from John Bond, that his time was sort of limited. And I'm sure Benson shared some of the views of John Bond as well. So there you go, David Cross, an old-fashioned centre forward, a goal scorer, and he was still our top scorer that season. So that's all well and good. But he, for 38 appearances, was a City number 9. So let me know, guys. Let me know any memories you've got of David Cross. I mean, there's a great picture that you would have seen it there, but don't look too closely at it. He's playing with his crown jewels, I think, in that picture with the Saabs, where Saab was out. That was the first season as well that we ever had a shirt sponsor, if you didn't know that. Obviously, that was 82, 83. So there was some good from the bad, but just don't look too closely, or do look closely at that picture. He's obviously adjusting something in his shorts. Not the greatest picture, but there you go. So David Cross, good old fashioned centre half. Said he could score with his feet, his boots. He could put them in with his bum. He could put him just a typical number 9. But hope you enjoyed that. And let me know any memories you've got of David Cross. Were you there at his debut at Norwich? I wasn't there. I was obviously there for the first Main Road goal he scored. For most of them, I think I went to a few aways that year, but I don't think I got to the Norwich one. Let me know what you're thinking about our City number 9, David Cross. Thanks for watching. Please, until we meet again, that's one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.